Hey everybody, welcome to SwingBadder, the Texas Ranger recap. Or as we like to call it, the very solidly average team.
Yeah, it's gotten to that.
So we keep hoping, or you keep hoping, for something a little better. I was thinking about this because a lot of our folks that may listen to us are getting ready for college. They're applying. They want to get into a good university. I was thinking, what university would the Texas Rangers be approved to get into? Because I think the Ivy Leagues are out.
Yeah.
I don't think the Ivy Leagues is even interested in whatever they're putting down. I think they're like, maybe we can do really well on the ACT or the SAT and really blow their minds with a really good score and just say I didn't work hard in high school. Ignore the last 3 months of baseball and just look at that one game we had, or focus on that one series we scored 34 runs and looked amazing. So
look at that one quarterly GPA. We don't need to look at the cumulative.
Don't look at the cube. Yeah, that wasn't me. I was going through a rough emotional time. So here we are, another week. It's 3-3. Stop me if you've heard this before. It's July.
Yep.
I looked at everything. We have we are in the last of 3 months. This is it. So we started in July. We get another full week this week. In fact, I believe the Rangers give us 7 games this week.
Yes,
so it's impossible to be 500.
Yep.
So
this will be the breaking point before the All-Star break. It all comes down to this.
There are some teams that are looking forward to the All-Star break. The Yankees had a bad week. They're on the batter 5. Tampa Bay had a bad week, but they're 49-41. They can have a bad week. The Rangers are still solidly not bad enough to be in the batter 5, which is good news. Not good enough to be mentioned in they had a blowout out week. Like, I would accept a Marlins 7-0 run at this point. That would be a miracle for them.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would put us, gosh knows how many games ahead of teams that we desperately need to get ahead of, like the Angels and Mariners.
It's very sad
still
you're
pretty
saying
close.
Yes, everything is. You're very much like you're in the thick of it.
Yes. I don't like the fact that the Astros are 11 games ahead of us. It just does not feel like this should still be happening. I feel like it's getting too old.
I feel like you're on that again. You're on the road next to the freeway in Dallas. For those that don't ever travel in Texas, Texas has this huge freeway, and next to the freeway they have roads, huge roads next to the freeway that you can choose to travel on and hit every light. That's the Rangers, and the Astros are on the freeway because the Astros haven't hit any lights, and the Rangers are like, no. Hold on, 3-3. We're stopping again. One of the people has to use the restroom. Something's happening. This so-and-so's not hitting. So-and-so has a stomach ache. So-and-so's not feeling well. We're going to get there when we get there, or as Dad would say, with lots of kids in the cars. So here we are. The Rangers are back at it. What is your thoughts of this week? This is a funny week to me.
Well, I don't think it's as bad as it may appear. We did go 3-3, which is, I believe, what I predicted. And we took 2 of 3 from the worst team, and we only won 1 against the better team. But it was actually kind of an uncharacteristic week in that we scored a pretty chunky amount of runs. We scored 22 runs in total in the 3 games against the Orioles, and we did only score 10 in the 3 games against the Padres. We scored 7 of them in 1 game in our win. And we only allowed... Okay, well, I can't say that. We only allowed, it looks like 2, 0, 3, 4, and 4 runs in the last 5 games, but we did allowed 10 in the first game. So it seems almost like this week we kind of returned from being a team that has an elite pitching staff and a horrible offense to being a team that has a pretty okay pitching and also a pretty okay offense. And honestly, I would prefer that.
The 10-6 game doesn't count because it was all runs were scored in extra innings. So
sure,
that's
fair.
It was like 3-3. Like, I know it's an anomaly, everybody. The Rangers scored 6 and still lost. That was not in regular 9-inning game. They went to the 9th, the 10th. I believe they lost in the 11th to the Orioles.
Yeah.
The Orioles scored, I believe it was a total of 7 runs in the 10th and 11th.
Yes, they did. They scored 3 in the bottom of the 10th and then 4 in the bottom of the 11th.
So that's, again, this is how you end up with the 10-6 game. They did beat them handily the next 2 games, allowing only 2 runs. So in all reality, you allowed 3, 2, and 0 if you look at it from that perspective. Pitching is still there. Pitching is still legitimate. I really like the pitching.
For certain.
Hitting is
It's nice
still
Eovaldi's back.
Hitting is still the reason why you're 500. And it's not like the Padres weren't in those games, you know.
Yeah, we were definitely in them.
But
we got walked off in the first one.
Yeah, and you had chances to just boost your lead or win the game. In the extras, 9th and 10th innings. You just didn't make it happen. So you are consistently not hitting the balls at the right time to get the win happening, and you're letting some defeats happen. You know, you're 1 or 2 wins away, which they are close. The Orioles, they could have won. They didn't win the first game against the Orioles, and they also could have easily won another game against the Padres. That's a 5-1 week. That's a whole different. That's a whole different conversation. But this seems like every week we have those things that's like, man, the Rangers are so close to breaking it open, and they just are like, no, we will be 3-3. We will not be 5-1. We will not allow that.
It's become our defining personality trait. We can't be bipolar like that. We just permanently a 500 team. Anything else would be sacrilege.
And the sad thing is, what if they were to go 5-2 this week? They go 5-2 this week before the All-Star break. Are you like excited, jazzed up, or are you like, okay, can we do it again? Can we do another one? Or is this not? Or is this?
I'd be pretty jazzed.
Okay, so you're trying to get a high note on the All-Star break. So this week is 3-3. Orioles and the Padres easily could have been 4-2. Easily could have been 5-1. I don't think all of your wins are really solid. So the worst you could have been is 3-3. That's the other thing that's funny about it. It's not like you're barely 3-3. No, the worst you could be is 3-3, and you hit the worst all the time. You never dial it up, and you're like, hey, look at that. We accidentally went 5-1, and we're -5 in runs. Hey, look at that. So the Astros went 5-1 this week, just looking at your division. The Mariners went 5-2 this week. The Angels 2-4, and again, you tied the A's at 3-3, which is not one thing you want to say. So the Mariners and the Astros are kind of doing their thing. I think right now you got to focus on the wild card. That's what I would be focused in on. And if I look at the standings for the wild card right now, I think you are sniffing it a little bit. So 4 games out. Not terrible. Not great. I always like to look at this and say, how close are we to being involved or really out of it? So when I look at this, the Orioles are 40-49, and they're 7 games out of the wild card. And the Mariners are 48-42, and they're in the wild card. And you're 44-46. So I think you're closer to the Orioles than you are to the Mariners. And at 43-46, 500 baseball is nothing. So then the question becomes, is there a bat the Rangers could possibly go and get that would make a difference?
Personally, I'd say that there's not a lot of talent that I see right now available that would really do a lot to boost this lineup. I think we have offensively all of the tools we need. I do not see any more. Hold on. We can cut that out. I do not see any. I do not see any depth that we could add to this lineup. Now, frankly, if I were to see anybody get signed, it would be a middle relief pitcher or a closing pitcher, because that's actually been the thing that's kind of been a little bit shaky for us over these past couple weeks. Because I think our offense during June and July has been very above average, even though it may not seem to be the case. And you said so this week. This week, the first. We should be 5-1, 4-2, 3-3 was the worst we could have been. We're putting ourselves in those situations where we have opportunities to win. So, and if relievers and closing pitchers are blowing those situations, then, well, you're running into a problem.
Here's the issue with what your desires are for a reliever or a closer. The Mets need that. The Yankees need that. if I look down the line of the teams that are competing and the teams that need more depth, like, they're all looking for that. So if you have relievers and you're out of this, whoever it may look like, everyone's going to gobble up everything they can. I mean, the Mets, I think, have used 35 pitchers, which is crazy. The Yankees are struggling in their bullpen as well. They're trying to get to the All-Star break, and then they're going to try to give everybody whatever they can to get whatever they can get. So I look at it and I say, you could always use a bat. It's just a question of what you have to give up to get the bat. Any kind of hot bat would help this lineup. And, yes, a reliever would be great, but you're in the market with everybody else. I think there's 5 to 10 teams that would love more relievers, would love great relievers or a closer. This is where Houston has a distinct advantage. Their closer, solid, short up, legit. Their middle relievers, solid, ready to rock and roll. So they are actually strong in the area most teams are weak in. And so the question for the Rangers is, defensively, are you there? Can you add a bat? Maybe a bat that can just put you over the top, like a Diamondback third baseman who's got like 26, 27, 28 home runs or something crazy. That you can just get somebody that just is going to add some pop to you for the next 2.5 months. Because what it is timely hitting is needed for this team. I don't see anything wrong with your pitching. It's been your strength. You need another 100 runs here in the next 2.5 months. And how do you get them?
Yeah. Well, don't know too much about who's available on the market, but I don't think we would really be going for anybody who's a major power guy. I'd say we need somebody that's kind of like another flexible middle infielder or somebody that's a utility player. We have somebody like that on the team already, Josh Smith, and he's been one of the most elite kind of players overall on the team because he's been able to fill in for injuries for guys having slumps. He plays defense very well at basically every position, and we're barely paying him anything. So we need another guy like that in the lineup.
All right, hold on.
Because
I want a really good player who's cheap, affordable, doesn't hurt the team, and can play multiple positions. Yes, no other team's looking for that either, by the way. You're literally shopping on the same aisle as every other baseball team. The question is, when we get to the All-Star break, after this next week, we'll be able to evaluate some of the moves that they are looking at or what they're making. Right now, as the team is constructed, my biggest question is, are the bats that you paid all this money to going to start legitimately getting great hits? Are they going to start legitimately making things happen? Are they going to be the difference makers for what you're looking at into, let's just look at this next 7 games. So going into this week, we know we can't go 3-3. So you can go 4-3, you can go 3-3, or you could get really bad and try to make it on the batter 5, which we don't want to see, or you could get really good and we can mention you in the greater teams of the week. Who are you playing? What does it look like? What are you looking forward to this week, and what are your hopes?
There's actually a lot to look forward to this week. Playing the Angels and the Astros.
Ooh.
I'm calling
This is
a
big week.
Yeah.
In division, 4 games against the Angels. Then you have, right before the All-Star break, you have the Astros.
Yes.
Whew.
I'm saying we go 5-2. I think we take 3 or 4 from the Angels, and then I'm saying we take another 2 from the Astros. I see a lot of upward momentum on this team. Really, the only player right now that I think is not going to be capable of performing well is Josh Young, but he's been sent to the minors to have a little bit of a reset. But everybody else in the team is hitting well. deGrom is probably going to get his 9th win somewhere in here this week and put him on pace for an 18-4 season, which would be awesome.
It's just a crazy stat.
Yeah.
18-4.
And then Eovaldi is also back from the injured list. He's still pitching. He's still eating up innings. He's doing great. Maley's been injured, and he won't be back for a couple months. But I'd say that our offense has been rolling pretty well lately. Simeon and Seager are definitely looking like their past selves. Garcia is making really hard contact with the ball. Some of these younger rookies that we're calling up to replace some of the guys in the lineup that are slumping, they're all doing pretty well. Like, this team doesn't feel like they're struggling to score runs in any way they can like they were a month and a half ago. It definitely feels like the offense is starting to kick into gear, which I do like to see. And so I really think that that's going to carry into next week. and I think we'll definitely be able to put up a fight, especially against the Astros.
So before the All-Star break, you're not going to wind people down. So you have deGrom on Monday, which means you're going to get him again against the Astros. You got Eovaldi, who is also great. So just the ERAs of these two guys, 2.13 for deGrom. And then Eovaldi is sitting at a 1.75. So those are your two pitchers that will face the Angels twice and the Astros. So you get them 4 times in a 7-game set. So in my opinion, this is like a playoff. 7-game series playoff. You get your aces on Monday. Your second ace is on Tuesday. You can pick whichever ace you want. I would start with deGrom on game 1 if I had my decision making. So you're set up pitching wise perfectly. You're not pitching deGrom and Eovaldi on Wednesday, Thursday. So you miss them on the Astros. So you get them to face off against the Astros. So this to me is the week you should be going 5-2.
Yes.
Those are 4 starts that you should be 3-1 on, no doubt.
Yeah.
So if you get another win or 2, which is you think you can get another win with the Angels and you can get another win with the Astros, then you're at that 5-win mark. I, however, am not so optimistic based on the just the way the Rangers have performed. And I like to look at my record of batter 5 throughout the last, months and months and months of this. So the problem that I see with the lovely Rangers is not the fact that they struggle for a month or that they're 500 all the time as it seems to be. They just came off a 12-12 month. They have started 3-3. They cannot have a 2-5 week. I think we both agree. We got to be done with that. It's like what we were talking about with the Braves. The Braves, if they wanted to do anything, they cannot have a bad week, and they already started off bad. So you have only so many weeks. Everything's got to be above it. So the worst they can do this week is 4-3, in my opinion. If they go 3-4, this is a bad sign before the All-Star break. So 4-3 is the worst. I'll give them 4-3. The Angels have played, respectable baseball. They seem to be struggling a little bit. The only thing that I don't like about the Astros and why the Astros continue to build more wins, they had a really tough schedule to start, and their schedule's easy and out. So they played Cleveland to start this week. Cleveland's 0-10 in their last 10 games, haven't scored. You could say, well, that's a good sign. They're going to start turning it around against the Astros. They could, but the Cleveland has dug a hole for themselves, just basically driving off the freeway, and they're not going to make the playoffs at all. So when I look at the Astros and trying to catch them, you're not wrong. You got to go 5-2.
Yeah.
You got to put a good week together. I have them 4-3 just because they seem to just steal away a victory here or there.
Yeah.
Like that extra inning game, I was really stoked. They scored all those runs. They tied him, and they didn't finish the job in the next inning. Similar with the Padres. They had I think they had guys in scoring position in the 8th and 9th and I believe 10th, and it just never, ever, they couldn't get the run they needed to make it happen. Is this when they change, or do they change after the All-Star break? We got 4 weeks in July, and one of the weeks in July is an additional weekend because of the All-Star break. So the 3rd week of July is going to have a lot of games. This has a lot of games. So between this week and the next week that we review, you're talking about 7, and I think it's 9 games.
Yes, play the Tigers.
16 games. We talked about the month of July is a tough month for the Rangers. You get the Astros, you get the Tigers. But the thing is, you're set up to have your best pitchers play against these teams. So put up or shut up. I mean, if you go 2-5 this week, you have a pour out of the All-Star break, guess what? It's over. You're 43-46. You have a poor month, it's over. You can't be where Baltimore is. All those teams like Baltimore are trying to put together and stack winning weeks together because they know they still have a breathing shot. They just have to keep winning the week. I have them 4-3 this week. You have them 5-2. This is a big series, and they are on the road. They're at Houston.
Yes,
so,
and at the Angels.
I would love to see their bats wake up at the right time. I think that's the thing to say. Are the bats wake up at the right time?
And I totally agree with you. We're kind of like the Guardians, We're one 0-10 stretch away from basically being completely eliminated from any playoff chances. And frankly, we've already dug ourselves into a hole and demonstrated our lack of momentum as a team where what we really need to be doing is just consistently winning series. But we all know that that's not very easy to do. But I really see that as the only possible way that we're going to be able to make a good playoff run. Just consistently winning series. Take 3 or 4 from the Angels, take 2 from the Astros, maybe take 2 or 1 from the Tigers and then sweep the A's. Like, we're just going to have a month and a half of really elite baseball. And I think that this team is very capable of that, but it's going to be very difficult to do. I mean, obviously, as it always is. But these next couple weeks they're either going to start that run, or we're just going to keep playing 500, and it's just kind of going to be over.
Yeah, the thing that I look at with those two weeks we're talking about, the Angels, you get 4 games against the Angels. The Angels are not barn burners. They're not destroying the world. The Astros are. And you have your best pitchers against the Astros. Then you come back against the Tigers right away. 2 best pitchers get to face the Tigers. Then you get the A's. Then you get the Braves. So a week that I think is really positive, because even if you went 1-2 against Detroit, you can still go 3-0 against the A's, 3-0 against the Braves. The Braves are literally just a rudderless ship. They're not doing anything right. And then you get the Angels and Mariners to close out the month of July. This is such a big month for them because they face the Angels twice, Houston once, Mariners, A's. These are all division teams that, again, you guys should own the A's. You guys should really beat up the Angels here. You guys should go after the Mariners and really prove that you're the second best team in this division. And as it stands right now, when I look at the standings, and this is the problem with being 3 games under 500, it just doesn't look that pretty.
Yeah.
When I look at it, you're hovering third place. You're 4 games back of the Mariners, who are 48 and 42, and the Mariners have they're not blowing anyone's socks off. They're plus 25. Yeah. The Rangers, they were plus 7 this week. That is a huge sign for them because they usually are 3-3 and a minus 10. So they're starting to turn that around. So we'll see. You have them 5-2. I have them 4-3. We both agree if you're on the batter 5 the week before the All-Star break and or after the All-Star break, I don't think you can recover. Because if you lose it to the A's and you're losing to the Braves, I'm sorry, Ranger fans, you got to admit it. It's over.
Yeah.
You have to win those series. And if you're losing to the Angels and you're losing to the Astros, if you lose both these series this week, we got to call it. Because the Angels, you need to show your will, especially because you have deGrom. You have Eovaldi going. These are great pitchers. You got to score 4 or 5 runs, you win. That's all you have to do.
Just score a league average number of runs, and it's the free game.
It's yours. I mean, it's literally like walking up and they hand you tickets. Here you go, sir. Thank you for playing the game. You're like, what did I do? You just showed up. You just showed up. So the beauty of baseball is you're not wrong. Let's say they have a bad week here, a bad week there. If they get hot, like Mets hot, like Braves hot in the past, and they just go on a month or 2 run, this is theirs for the taking.
Yes,
and that's
very much so.
I'm saying that about all those teams that are within 7 games of the wild card. You get hot right now. You put together a good 15, 20 game split. You're in the playoffs, and everyone's scared of you. So the Rangers are very capable. They have everything that they need to be set up for that. We'll see what they go shopping for. We'll review that when all the free agency or the trades happen, I should say, not free agency, when trading season comes to an end. And I would say that like the Astros are positioned strongly, the Rangers are also positioned very strongly. You don't have a lot of starting pitcher injuries right now. You're very strong. So it's set up. You're looking pretty right now.
I mean, yeah, the momentum that we've kind of been carrying offensively, and, with deGrom and Eovaldi kind of still cruising over the past couple of weeks, if there's a time in which this team gets hot, it's right now. And especially since we're playing a lot of division teams, we're going to have a chance to get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 games ahead in this division. And that is going to be huge for both momentum going into July and August and potentially into the postseason if we get lucky.
So if they're plus 50 at the end of July, massive.
Yes.
It's a massive, because they're plus 25 right now in the season. If they're add another plus 25 here in the month of July, in these 3 weeks, I'm telling everybody, the Rangers are starting to feel it.
Yeah.
So the question is, are they that close? Are they this close? Are we just imagining an offense that never exists? Is that what we're doing? Are we dreaming?
They say defense wins championships, but in baseball it might not be the case because Rangers have elite defense, elite pitching. Their offense, not quite there, but we have a chance. We're on a roll offensively. It's just all the pieces are just so close to coming into place. This is just where the execution needs to happen.
It would be really, really great to see deGrom and Eovaldi in the first 2 games. The Rangers win like 8-1, 9-0.
Yeah.
Like, just start the week off super hot. Like, that just gives you all the confidence in the world. I think the managers need to stop saying to everyone, we just need 3. Don't say that. Because it feels like that's all you need with these pitchers. And it feels like they're like, we got you 2, 1.
Eat their bullpen. We just got to eat it up. So, on a 4-game set against the Angels.
This will be a fun week. I like this week. I like looking at it as a 7-game series. 4-3 wins it. I don't think that puts you out of anything. I don't think that makes it shy. 5-2, 6-1. This is that's a great way to go in the All-Star break. Then you're above 500. I would say you're about 2 games out of the wild card. Now it gets fun. And that Tiger series is going to be great because you're talking about the Tigers have great pitchers that are going to match up with the Rangers. That's going to be an excellent series out of the All-Star break. Good.
And, we've played the Tigers before, and I think we took 2 of 3 from them the time we played. So, we have the potential to be good teams like that.
Good on baseball to give us those pitching matchups right out of the gate. I mean, you got Skubal versus deGrom.
Yeah, that'll be high-selling tickets.
So that will be first 1-1.
Who's going to get the solo opposite field home run?
But it's also going to be, how you come out of the All-Star break. So we'll see who ramps it up. We'll see if they hit the gas pedal. Obviously, we're still hopeful. We're going to be here every week. We're going to be covering them. Aidan, you and I get to hang out this summer for a week together. We'll talk a lot more baseball with Grandpa and you and in person and get some nice theories going. But by then, we'll be in that second All-Star week. We'll see what transpires.
We just gotta hope.
Hope is what you have in baseball.
Yep.
If you don't have a hope, then you're the Chicago White Sox or the Rockies. Do you see any relievers on the Rockies you want? I mean, they're offering everybody. And we know who's selling. The A's are selling. The White Sox are selling. The Rockies are selling. I don't know if anybody wants them. But they have some players. As always, this is the Texas Ranger Recap. Like, share, subscribe, and thanks for joining this little gang of ours as we are inherited, wonderful teams that we cheer to the very end. And this is, as always, that's Aidan. I'm Brendan. Thanks, everybody, for joining.